Welcome, welcome. We're in a new location. We're so excited. We're actually at the Store Fabrics. So we have made this move because it gives us more space. It just is nice. And that way, you know, it enables us to do things down the road. The mannequins will be here, the clothes will be here. So when people come into the store, when you come into the store, you can actually see the clothes from the previous webcast, maybe. I don't know how long they'll stay here, but it's just fun. So the lighting is so nice and it's so big and bright, and we're excited to be here. And we're excited to have you here as well. And tonight we're doing our May PoM. I love my big table. I love space. It's so nice. We're doing May PoM. It's 110, Kiana's blouse. Kiana was a customer, is a customer. I don't know. It's been a lot of years. It's been 12 years. And she was 10 or 9 or 10 at the time, and she had ideas on a sketch pad as to what she wanted in a pattern, and we adopted it and made her a designer because she wanted to be a designer when she grew up, and we named the pattern after her. So this particular pattern has the Me Too collection in it. If you're sewing for a younger girl, it has the size range, as well as the ladies, as well as the W sizing. So there's actually 3 size ranges in this pattern. It's just a lot of fun. I've had more fun with this pattern. And I think, you know, when I look at the different things I do in my schedule, I do really like the webcast. I will say that they take time, but I really like them because it really challenges me. And it really pushes my creativity and my whatever. I really believe that you shouldn't use a pattern just once. I just think that it's, you know, the time it takes to get it out of the envelope and cut your size and all that time that it takes to do all that, I just feel like as long as it's out, while it's out, gosh, you ought to make 2 or 3 of the same thing, especially because when I do these, I'll generally cut a couple or 2 or 3 at the same time, and I'll actually sew them at the same time, and I'll kind of like them together according to thread color. And so it really happens a lot quicker than you would think. I hate to talk about time because I feel like it's just inappropriate to say, oh, it only took me this long, because if it takes you longer, then you don't feel good. So I don't want to talk about time, but I do want to go through and show all the changes that we did. It's just a lot of fun. So this is it's called a Raglan Sleeve. And a Raglan sleeve is a little interesting or a little complex to make when you are doing pattern making. It has what's called an arm sky template. You don't need to worry about all that because it's been all done. But it is a Raglan sleeve. And a lot of times women will say, how come you don't have more Raglans? But I don't think they really look at this and realize it to be a Raglan, which it is. So I wanted to go through and just show you all the different things I did with it. I want to show you this first picture because this was really the beginning. I actually was watching something on TV, and I saw this shirt, and I went ballistic. I thought, that's Kiana's top. But it was, and this is not a good picture of it, but what I wanted you to see was that it had, because sleeves are so popular right now, it had a knit body, and then it had these big puffy sleeves. And of course, the top I have on is Kiana's top without the puffy sleeves, so we're going to transition to say, hey, you know what, maybe you want puffy sleeves, maybe you don't, and I'm going to show you kind of how to do both. And so this was my first version of what I did. And I did it with it's got a black body, it's got a knit body. The knit body is for movement. But the sleeves don't have to be knit, and they're not. So this is fabric, I'll tell you the fabric just so you can see. The black is 5406, it's a linear black, it's beautiful, just beautiful. And then the print fabric is 5340. And this is a little rayon print. And so you can see there's gathers here. And this particular pattern, we do the gathers with elastic because it's so easy. You just cut a piece of elastic. I used my 2-inch white elastic and cut it down to like a 1/4 inch and just shear it. And then you just stitch it in place and it does all your gathering for you. And the nice thing about doing gathering like this is it's more sturdy. And also when you move, it kind of moves with you. That fullness, you know, is not locked into place. It can move. So when you do this, I want you to look at these pattern changes here for just a minute, because you're going to have to, you know, when you end this woven sleeve right here. Now I didn't cut the sleeve any bigger. You could though. You could go up a size in the sleeve, and the way you want to tell is take your sleeve and measure the circumference, the fullest part. It's called the cap line, but measure that fullest part right there and make sure that's enough for you to move, because you could always use, just like in anything, you could use a bigger size sleeve and then just trace on the armhole that goes with it onto these parts. So it'd be very, very easy to do. You don't have to worry about a forward shoulder with a raglan. You don't have to worry about any, changing that. There's no real exact points. There's an area now. So a lot of women, for that reason, like a raglan. When I did this particular pattern, I wanted to make sure through the bust area it was really nice and clean. So you'll see it still has a French dart. The French dart is turned into a princess seam. It's just a beautiful little pattern. I just love this pattern. But again, when you're finishing with the sleeve, let's look at these pattern changes here for just a minute. Notice the sleeve now, I've cut it off. The sleeve is that big long piece there on the left, or on the right, sorry. I've cut it off because you want to have a cuff at the bottom, but you also want to widen it because you want to have gathers into that cuff, because the sleeve is going to be bigger than a knit sleeve would be. And this pattern is made for a knit, but there's no reason why you can't put a woven sleeve with it. You've still got knit here in the back. And so when I have this on, you can still move very easily, even though the sleeve itself is a woven. So to mix those fabrics up is really fun, and it gives you real versatility. And I just love it. That's originally that first picture that I saw, and I thought that is so cool, that knit body, but you had to have a cuff, so you can just kind of make a little cuff down here. That knit body and the woven sleeve, and all kinds of exaggerations or blends that you can come up with between those two. All right, so as we go along, if you have questions, be sure to ask them. I know sometimes they come to you later, but that way a lot of times I'm like, what are they talking about? Only because there's a delay and I'm a little bit farther on. But anytime you have them, ask them. I just want to make sure that you understand step by step. This pattern has a little band that goes along the neck edge. You can kind of see it in mine because, well, no, you can't really see it in mine. You can see it, we can see it in this green one over here. We'll take a look at it later because it's a higher contrast. But it's a narrow band, so it doesn't mean it has to stay that way. You can make it wider, you can make it narrower. You could substitute it out for fold over elastic and just cut the neck edge down. It is a jewel neck, crew neck, whatever you want to call that. So it should be very similar to your 195, your sweater set. The sweater set is the base for this pattern. So your bust size and your sleeve and all that is going to be the same as your sweater set. But again, because it's a raglan, you're not going to have those alterations of forward shoulder and all that kind of stuff. Okay? Okay, how we doing? Is it fun yet? It's getting to be summertime. It's getting to be warm. Oh, it's my favorite time of year, by far. I know I say that every time of year, I think, but I really like this time of year. It's so nice when you walk outside and you don't have to have 15 layers on. You can just, have the one that you have. Okay, so 110, Kiana's top is the pattern we're talking about. Some people go by numbers and some people go by names. We'll use both. 110, Kiana's top. Okay, so now we're going to do another one. And this is just fun because you really could do it in just any kind of remnants you have. If you have a yard of certain fabric and you don't know what to do with it, a yard of one and a yard of another works really well with this. Okay, so we mentioned you don't have to worry about a forward shoulder. What about if I have a rounded back? No, rounded back is you still need to do a rounded back. Two different alterations and two different reasons for those alterations. Don't lump them in together, but if you do a rounded back on the sweater set, you'd still have to do a rounded back on this. And your back piece is easy enough. It's just like this. When you go to do your rounded back, you'll see it'll stop here. It doesn't have to go all the way to the edge because the edge is closer. So very easy to do. Okay? Okay, very good question. Okay, so now what we did is I love the colors, the peach, and so this next one I really did it again, same thing, except I wanted a more tunic length. So I went ahead and I lengthened it. I added 6 inches to the bottom, and I just love the lines. You can take away the scarf and just see it, just really pretty lines. But out of the remnants, because scarves are so popular, well, actually it wasn't remnants. I actually used 2 yards of the sheer. The fabric on this time is 53.94 is the sheer, and the body is 53.46. So I just love this kind of light peachy color. It's really pretty. You can see it's just really beautiful. It's soft and feminine, and that elastic does all that shearing for you, so it's very easy to do. And then again, I followed up with a cuff at the bottom. So same changes that I did on this one, except I just added length at the bottom. So those changes that we showed on there, if you don't mind showing those again, those changes. Yeah, there you go. You can see that piece number 1 and piece number 3, I think they are. I can't see the numbers, but oh, here, I've got them in front of me actually. Yeah, the 1 and the 2, you're going to lengthen, not the side front. You don't need any lengthen on that because that ends. Right as soon as the French dart ends, that's where that piece ends. And so you don't need any alterations on this. On the scarf, I just picked a really pretty pink, and I did a rolled hem all the way around. This particular fabric had a really beautiful, has a really beautiful fringe to it. And I left it because I just thought that would be really pretty. And even if you put it on, if you can somehow keep that side showing, it just looks really nice. So you could put that on top before you fold it or before you put this around. And this is that little clip I made with those pearls a little bit ago. I have found I've used that so much. It's amazing how handy it is and how convenient it is. Okay, any other questions on that? Okay, so we can do a woven sleeve and a knit body. That's the coolest thing. We can mix and match those fabrics. It doesn't have to be knit, and it doesn't have to be the same as the body. They can be different. And I think that adds a really nice contrast. We see a lot of tops today where the fabrics are mixed, and they're using more than one fabric in a top. And so I really like the combination. And especially for us as sewers, when we have just a little bit of this and a little bit of that left over. People say, what do I do? You know, what do I do? And you don't have to quilt. That's the good news. You don't have to quilt. Okay, so now what I did is I wanted you to understand, because I wanted to go into a woven. I really wanted to explore the whole world of woven with this pattern. And I wanted to explore it for you, really. And you know, there's so many times when I do something and I do it because I like it, but it doesn't mean you will. And I think kind of a nice advantage for you all is you can see it, and if you don't like it, say, wow, I would have tried that, but I don't like it. Now that she did it, I don't like it. So you don't have to spend the time doing it. I'm kind of helping you save time. That's the goal. But I do like it. I did this jacket, and I love corduroy. I just love corduroy. I love corduroy, especially in jackets and especially in casual. I don't really like a more formal jacket with corduroy. I really like a really casual jacket. And so this really enabled me to do exactly what I wanted, or in my mind to do exactly what I wanted. So the way I planned it out is I wanted to take away, because corduroy and because the weight of corduroy, it's not really going to hold up for all that puffiness. I think as soon as I say that, I recognize that at the stores today, there are a lot of very, very large shoulders, very puffy. So I could have easily have done the same treatment and done it in corduroy. And it would have been bigger, and it would have been something that's out there today. It's just not something that I felt like I would probably enjoy, or I don't know that I would wear it. So I decided to smooth out the shoulder, and so in the next few samples I decided to smooth out the shoulder. And so you're going to do that by taking in these tucks. And you can see that in this pattern, I just tuck, 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 tuck all the way across. And there are some, before we go into that, let's answer these couple questions just so that we stay on one place. Can you go over the elastic add-on to the sleeve? Yeah, so it's actually in the directions, but what you're going to do is you're going to cut a 1/4 inch piece of elastic. And so when you're gathering these areas in here, you know, let's say the sleeve is up to here like it typically is, and down the middle, you're going to cut your elastic, like let's say it's 8 inches long. And that will give you, if you start your elastic here and you back stitch in the middle of the sleeve and then just stretch it, and you're only gathering to the cap line. So you know to pull the elastic that much, and you're going to stitch the elastic down as it's pulled, and then it releases and it gathers up the fabric. And so this gathering happens like, here, I can show this one because it's a lighter color. Maybe we can zoom in on that just a little bit so you can see it. You can see I just leave my elastic right in there, but I also do this with elastic, and I also do the back with elastic. And the nice thing, if you're doing 1/4 inch elastic, you're using a 3/8 inch seam allowance, you really cut out your elastic when you're sewing the two pieces together. Well, I mean, I serged it together. So you can see that this is all done, but yet it's done with elastic, so it's just so easy. Gathering is time consuming. I don't really care to gather. But boy, when you can gather with elastic by just stitching it down and it's all there, and it's all even because of how you stretch the elastic, I just find that to be very easy and very convenient. Do we need to add length to the sleeve? No, not only for style purposes. The sleeve is a long sleeve, unless you just want to add length, but not just because. The only reason I cut this into 2, so I made the band, and then I made, but I cut the sleeve off shorter to make the band, and then made the band. And so that equaled the original length, okay? Okay, so I think we're okay. Let's go ahead and go to this green jacket. All right, the green jacket, the Masters jacket. Maybe that's why I wanted a green jacket. I watched the Masters, and it's such a cool and exciting tournament. But anyway, okay, so this is fun because I could really tie it in. Green is a very summery look, and it, with tying it into the black, it really makes it able to be worn in the spring and the summer, and then of course into the fall as well. It makes it very versatile. And then by putting a little white shirt underneath, it really gives you an ability to make it a little more springy, or else, take it a different direction. So this was simply done by taking these and not cutting them, but just folding them. And if you're wondering, how do I know how much to take away, you have the armhole right here. So when they sew together, so when this point of the back matches these right here, that's how you know you've collapsed it enough. And then your other armhole is right here. And so same thing, when you put this point here and the curve here, you've collapsed it enough because that's now a 1-to-1. There's no ease in that section. So much harder to expand and get the fullness in than it is to collapse it and just take it away. Very simple process to do. And you might as well, because now you've got a raglan sleeve, and now I've got kind of this little raglan jacket. And then of course I just did the side panel here in the black because I needed a cuff. When I'm doing it in a woven, I needed some way, in this one I did elastic at the bottom of the sleeves. But in the corduroy, for some reason, I just didn't want to do elastic. So what you want to think about is, if you're doing it in a woven, so this sleeve is woven, they're all woven, how am I going to end the sleeve? And so in these cases, I chose to use a cuff. And the one I have on, I did a knit. This one's a knit, and this one, I just used elastic at the bottom. So all of those cases, when you're deciding to do a woven sleeve, you just want to think about, okay, so how am I going to stop the sleeve? What's going to be at the end? What am I going to do with it? Okay? Because we are taking, this is a knit sleeve, and we're taking it and now doing a woven. Now when I did this green jacket, I actually went up 2 sizes, because what I was thinking about was, how much ease do I want? So very easy to do, because the back of the pattern is in knit, so the numbers are negative ease. But now I want it to just be equal to me. Now this green is a stretch. It's a stretch woven. So when I have green across the back here, I have actually a lot of stretch. So I actually only went up 1 size on this, because I decided, but because it was a stretch woven, I didn't need as much ease. And so I just went up the 1 size. And that was measuring my bust, and then of course deciding what I liked on there versus a negative ease. You wouldn't want the negative ease. Okay? All right, let's answer questions about that. Okay, besides the sizing, what's the difference between 110 and 615? Oh, I'm going to have to think for a minute. 615, okay, besides the sizing, well, one is a knit and one is a woven. So that's kind of saying what's the difference between Sally's pants and a yoga pant. They're both pants, but the curves are different, the fit is different, so the pattern work is different when you do that. And then on 615, all the darts are moved into, from a pattern perspective, all the darts are moved into the neckline, and you have a gathered neckline. This is a smooth neckline, and your dart is in here. You have a French dart that's turned into a princess seam. So in my mind, they're totally different. I appreciate that question because you guys look at these and say, they're no different. They're a lot different. There's no gathers through the neckline, and one's a princess seam and one's not. So does that help? The sleeve's completely different. So maybe that will open your eye up to those differences. Okay? Peggy, thanks so much for experimenting for us. Wondering if you have experiments that just don't turn out. Of course. Oh my gosh, are you kidding? Yes. I mean, I could survey you and ask you if you want to see those, but I mean, they're the wrong thinking. So there's many times where I think, I don't want to show you the wrong thinking, I want to show you the right thinking. And I'm not embarrassed about them at all because I truly believe it's a matter of numbers. The more you do, the more success you're going to have. You're always going to have the failures. There's no way you're not going to have the failures. It's going to happen. But you're always going to have more successes, and that's what I'm after, okay? Now, having said that, I have done it a long time, so there's a lot of those things in my mind that I know they're wrong before I go down that road because I know they won't work because I've screwed up that way before. So the accidents are good. I think I said the other day, it was really a happy little accident. And my son said to me, hey, that's Bob Ross's line. And he's right, that is Bob Ross's line. But it's true. There are happy little accidents that really are fun. Okay, so is that good question-wise? Okay, so then with this, it's an unlined jacket with the green. Going back to the green, did I give you the corduroy number? The fabric is 5276. The black knit is 5402. I went up one size, again, because the green was a stretch woven. So it really made it easy. And the zipper, the whole jacket was just so easy to sew. And I mean, it's lovely. I really like it. It's just a cute little throw-on jacket, casual. The neckband, I just liked everything about it. And I love that raglan sleeve. I love the lines of it. You could put a little elastic back here if you wanted to, just to kind of give it a little cinched in waist. I think that would be cute. But there you have it. Great little zipper. Great little zipper. Okay, so let's move on. What do we got next? Where are we? Let's see. Okay. So then the next picture, do I have a picture here? Oh, okay, that's later. Well, let's do that now. This picture right here, I just really like this look. And this is really common. It's really what I have on. Although what I did is I didn't do the V-neck. However, if you want to do the V-neck, we have a couple V-necks. You could use Patty's 120 if you have that, just to do the lines. Or you could do 122, the new biased rib top. That V-neck is really stylish right now. I went ahead on mine. I'm going to pull my hair back. And I let it be just a regular jewel neckline. But I will say that I did a short sleeve with a stripe because it looks like a stripe. And then I love a sleeve. So I went ahead and I didn't do the whole thing striped because I felt like it'd be too zebra looking. So I just left the upper portion striped and did the solid down below and mixed it in with the body. And so really no changes other than I scrunched up the sleeve because I didn't want the fullness in through here. I really wanted to follow that picture. And then, did I do the changes on those? Okay. Oh, go to those number 3, sorry, if you will. Okay, look at these. This is where I was talking before when you scrunch it up, and how much do you know to scrunch it up is because the curves of those sleeve lines will equal, the green will equal the 2 reds. And so very easy to pull it down, so you know how much to pull it down so that the green, once it's scratched down, which is a sleeve, will equal the front and the back red. And I showed you on this how to do that. Okay. What are the fabrics for the peach top? The body is 5346. It's a beautiful, it's such a beautiful weight. Like, it's lighter than a Pontoroma. It's really pretty, and the stretch is beautiful on it. And the sheer print is 5394. And again, just really lovely, very pretty. All right, is that good? Okay, so let's do my pinky. I love this pinky, love this pinky. This is a pink waffle print. We just put it up. It's a little knit, it's 100% cotton. And so what I decided to do is mix. So now what I wanted to do is whenever I start making the pattern, I do it a couple times, and my goal is to kind of send the message of you is do a pattern and don't do it once. Just do it once and warm up, kind of get the feel of the pattern, kind of get the, you know, lay of the land, I guess is the term I'm looking for. Just kind of get familiar with it. And then start thinking about, and the whole reason we do this PoM is so that we won't just use a pattern once. I really believe that you want to use it multiple times and you want to take it as far as you go. So we've made it up. We've done it not exactly as the pattern, actually. I didn't make one exactly like the pattern, but do it as close to the pattern to get you to where you're comfortable with it. And then I started playing with it. And what I did in this particular case is I did Anne's top. So I wanted to switch it around. I wanted to put on a different collar. You know, plain potatoes with patterns. We're going to switch all that up. And we're gonna put that video on sale. It's not on sale tonight. I didn't get a chance to put it down, and it has been on sale, but I'm gonna put it back because it's a really good video and it really helps you, shows you where to lay things and where to compare them and alignment points to line up on patterns when you're taking this from that. It's very, very helpful. If you have it, you know what I'm saying. And it's really an easy place to go to and watch it when you want to do it, especially when you're changing necklines and armholes. And so this is what I did here. So this is 115, Anne's top. And what I wanted was to change was obviously the collar. And I wanted to take the collar and put it on 110. I wanted it to be a tunic length, so I lengthened it. And I added 6 inches at the bottom. So I really wanted tunic. I wanted to wear it with white leggings. So that was kind of my goal when I was thinking about what the outfit was going to look like. Okay. Okay, so I didn't want a scrunch sleeve, gathered sleeve, because I felt like the fabric, even though it's a lightweight, it's 100% cotton, it's still too heavy, I felt like, to be gathered. It doesn't mean it is for you, just for me, I decided not to. But and this is the collar that I added on, but I want you to look at this placement because it's a little weird. And, you know, when you go to do this, you'll say, now, how did she do that? It's a little weird. I'm not going to tell you it's not a little weird. What I would suggest is that you actually sew, because keep in mind that when you're doing a raglan, you are, you know, the side panel and the front and the sleeve equal the neckline. So doing the pattern work on the table is going to be much more complex than just sewing up this top. So what I would recommend is just sew the front, the side, and the sleeves, sew it up. You know, you're not going to put the band on, we're going to leave the band off. But if you just sew that up and then take 115 and take the front neck edge, I've already cut this out. And so I went to my sewing room, I went upstairs, I sewed these pieces together, and then I took up my front with me, my Anne's top, the front. And then I just put the collar, or the front, I put it halfway here. I knew where the shoulder seam was exactly, and I knew where the center front was. And so then I cut away as it was already sewn together. So again, you can see what I'm trying to say to you is if you put these two pieces together on the table, there's no shoulder point. So it's hard to know how deep to go to make Anne's top, to make the neck edge. Once you have it all sewn together, you say, oh, I get it. This right about here is the shoulder. There's the center back. It's going to equal, the center back is going to be the same because I took it off the base of 195 and 115, Anne's top. I say all these numbers too fast, you guys, I'm sorry. 115 is the same as 195. Same base is the same as 110. They're all the knit bases. So you don't really have to worry about the neck in the back, but you do have to use it as a reference point so that when I'm putting the shoulder seam in place to know how low to go for the neckline, I need those pieces joined so that I can see what's going on. What I love about this top is I love the lines. I love how the raglan comes in, how the princess seam comes in. It just makes beautiful lines through there. I just love the way it looks. It's really pretty on. It's so pretty on. And then I just did a little 3/4 sleeve just because, again, it's a pink, it's a cotton. I wanted it to have a real summer feel to it. And, you know, obviously it's a summer It's a summer. That's it. It's a summer. But it is cute. So you wear it, you can scrunch up the sleeve, wear it with a belt, without a belt, it doesn't matter, but it's just cute. Just really cute. Okay, so that was the goal, to start playing potato head, mixing patterns and sleeves and all these other things. Let's answer questions. Could you do this as a cap sleeve if you wanted to wear it under something? Sure. Sure, you could do it at a cap sleeve even if you didn't want to wear it under something. You could just do it as a cap sleeve. Okay, now keep in mind that cap sleeve, by definition, means that the cap is included on the sleeve. So, you know, that just FYI, that's all. Can I back order the armhole templates? Yes, and no. I mean, so the templates are ready. Actually, I'll put them up later tonight, and I'm going to put them up for the sale price because I told you all I would. We ran out of them during the sale, so I'll put them back up both tonight. They're not up yet, but you can't order it the way it is right now, but I'll put them up, and then we'll have them tomorrow. They're actually here. I just have to go pick them up. Okay, hopefully that helps. What video were you just talking about? Plain potatoes with patterns. Yeah. That's the one that really focuses on what is style and what is fit, and defining and separating those two out so that I can take the style of this neckline and put it on the fit of the garment. And when I differentiate those two things, I can clearly understand one from another, and that's when really I think the fun starts. You don't necessarily have to know patterns, but you want to know enough basics that you can really start to play those differences up. Okay? Okay. Everybody understand how to scrunch the sleeve? That was my big worry tonight. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to go to a woven blouse. And we have this, the pink fabric. I probably didn't tell you that. The pink tunic was $54.38. It's a new fabric. I think we just put it up, $54.38. And then the one I have on, my stripe is $52.90. And $54.04 is kind of a blue-gray. I love this. It's really nice. It feels great. Feels great. I mean, I feel like this is a shirt I would wear every day. Just throw it on. You know, I just really like it. And that's always my goal, is to make a shirt that is just me. You know. So for all of you, you know, that's our goal, is to make a shirt that's you. Not me, but you. Okay, so let's talk now. What I did is I had this beautiful border, and you guys know I have it. It's $54.35. $54.35 is the fabric, and it's a really beautiful border. And it's a panel. It's not just a border. It's a panel. So the border runs from selvage to selvage, and it's about a yard. It's a little more than a yard, but we sell it by the panel, which is a yard. And so, obviously, for the front facing, I put that down on the panel first, or, you know, on the edge. And then I did the collar, and I only did the front. The back is plain, because the front was all that was going to show. And then I did it at the bottom of the sleeves, just because it was fun to do that. So you can still see your princess line. Now, for this one, I did go up 2 sizes, because this is not a stretch woven. It's 100% cotton, and it has basically zero give to it. So I really wanted to make sure that it would come together. I didn't care if it overlapped, because I really wanted it a little bit as an overshirt. And so I knew I was going to put some kind of fastener in the front. I didn't know exactly what I was going to do, but some kind of fastener. So there's my princess seam. You can see through it. There's my raglan sleeve, and then the neckline. Now, when you do this, you want to take the neckline and go up, extend it up a little bit. So in other words, extend this up. I want to make the neckline smaller to put that collar on. It's worn open anyway, so it doesn't matter if it's too small. You don't have to wear it closed. But I want to get it to equal the collar. And the best way to do it, I used pattern 600, and we just gave 600 away when you ordered 575 last week. So I know a lot of you have 600. The best way to do this is to basically just measure the neck edge of 600. You only have 2 pieces, the front and the back. And then here you have 3 pieces. Measure this neckline. You know, well, you have to put the sleeve together. But what I'm saying to you is this neckline is going to measure larger, so if you bring it up and make it smaller, then you can just cut it away to equal the neckline of 600, and then the collar will fit without any problem. So that's the easiest way to do that, is to make it too small and then draw it back larger, and then to put the collar on it. I loved sewing this fabric. You know, 100% cotton is so neat and easy to sew. It presses just beautifully. And then what I did with the sleeve is once the sleeve was too big and I dropped it down like I did the others, I just gathered the bottom. And I typically wouldn't put the border print around the bottom of the sleeves because I think it somewhat takes away from the vertical here. But I really wanted to, and I really liked it, and I did. And it's cute on. I really like it, and I really, you know, it's, when we go back to dressing, it's not your best look, is to have a horizontal line through the sleeves. But you know, rules are meant to be broken sometimes, and so this was a rule I decided to break. And I do, I like it. I really like it. I did do a front facing down the front. So if you take this front facing here, and if you take Kiana's top, which is what you're doing, when you put that together, you see that the front facing is longer. So that means the style of classic blouse 600 is longer than 110. And so I went ahead and cut it. It's 3 inches. So I cut Kiana's blouse longer by 3 inches, both here and on the back. So that when by the time I got to it, it was longer. The other thing I did is when you put this here, because this facing is going to wrap around the front is what it's going to do. And you sew this here, what you see is that this front facing, and I know a lot of you have sewn 600, this front facing goes way up here. You don't need all that. So once you put the front facing in place and you sew down the 2 rows of stitching, you just cut that off. Just literally cut that off, and then it'll get anchored in the seam as you sew the sleeve seam on. But the fact of the front facing and the functionality and everything that it's doing, it can be exactly the same. You're just altering these pieces as you go to put them together. So it's kind of fun, especially if you have a little bit of patience and just a little bit of time. And I had both, and I just really had a fun time just playing them. I used the same collar, that's the classic blouse collar. It was just fun. It was all just fun. Let's answer some questions, okay? Has anyone asked you where you bought your belt? No. My belt, I buy so much off of eBay, you guys. You know, I don't pay full price for anything. eBay, everybody buys it. It's like a used car. I buy used cars too. I have an old Honda used car and I love it. So eBay is a great place to find stuff. Or you know what another good place is, but it's kind of high priced, is that Real. You can be sure that it's real. Well, I mean, it's Neiman Marcus secondhand. And I think Neiman Marcus got into this whole thing because everybody was buying their stuff and selling it, and they were losing money. So for them to be in the business makes a lot of sense. And they also validate it. So if you care, you know, I don't think I'm crazy about designers necessarily, but if I'm going to pay the price for designers, I want to make sure it's really the designer. And so they will. eBay sometimes is risky, whereas the Real is not. And I'm not paid by Real. I have no affiliation. I don't care. I just know that it's kind of, you know, backed. Can we see the back of the border print blouse? Yes. I have to move my water mug and my candle because my candle's holding it up. But yes, here you go. See? Isn't that pretty? I just kind of left it plain. I didn't put anything exciting down the back, probably because I got cheap. And you know, you have to use another panel, because I used all the panel that I had for here and the collar and then for the sleeves. So if I had wanted to put anything in the back that had a panel, I would have had to use entirely another panel. Which, you know, this stuff's not free, you guys, right? Do we deliver to Canada every day? We deliver every day to Canada. We ship internationally every single day. There's not a day that goes by that we don't. So yes, we do. Now just so that you know, if you go outside US, we pay for patterns, we pay for videos. We don't pay. The shipping is the same as if you lived in the States. But if you order notions or fabrics, then you have to pay the difference between when you checked out, that's if you lived in the US, and then what it took. So we always send a follow-up email saying this is how much it costs, this is what you owe. And we have a lot of international customers, a lot of in Australia. If you're in Australia, which, man, we just have so many great customers in Australia. And when COVID came along, and many of you may not know this, when COVID came along, Australia stopped allowing shipments from the US. The USPS could no longer ship first class or priority to Australia. So a pattern costs $30, you know, because you have to go another way. But that's all over now. Australia has opened back up, and it's wonderful. I don't think I know we're having issues with South Africa because we have shipped there and we've had problems with South Africa, but everywhere else we're shipping back again, and that's a nice sign, you guys. I mean, forget what anybody says. We know COVID is kind of going away because the shipping is returning, and you know, internationally things are returning. That's a really good sign. I think that's a really healthy sign. Okay, so we have a few minutes. I'm happy to answer any questions you have about anything that I did or anything that's upcoming. Can we talk a couple things? We talk about Spiffy is coming up. Spiffy, I think a lot of people don't really understand what it is, and it's been going on for so long, I assume everybody knows what it is. Spiffy is a training for fitting. And Spiffy stands for Silhouette Patterns Instructional Fitting for Yourself. We had to really work hard to get that into a word, which it's pretty bad, but we still use it because it's easy to say. And so really what it means is you really have to know what you're doing if you're fitting yourself, or if you're fitting one other person, or if you're fitting 1,000 other people. And so it's designed for you to learn to fit. Whether you decide to just do yourself or whether you decide to do others, that's up to you. We kind of address both ways. So it is a tremendous amount of fun. I just really enjoy it. It's the beginning of August. We have, I think there's 3 or 4 spots left open. So, you know, don't push yourself. If it's not right for you, don't do it. And if it is, join us, because we do have a lot of fun. And a lot of friendships have been made, and it's really fun, as you know, to get sewing ladies together and talk fit and talk darts. That's really the cool thing. All right. How many panels for the border print blouse? I used 2. So one, I used the front facing. So one panel had 2 borders on it. I used it for the front facings. Then the other one I used for the sleeve and the collar. And then I didn't have enough to do underneath, so you can see underneath it's just plain, but nobody's going to see underneath anyway. And oh, I had to piece the collar, actually, now that I say that. There's actually is a seam at center back of that collar. You can't see it because I matched it, but I did have to, I didn't have the whole collar left of the border. I did have to piece the center back of the upper collar, just FYI. Can I see the peach blouse behind you? Sure. Tell us what you want to see. We're here to please, man. I have to name all these girls now. We had to move them all today, and you know, we don't have to move them anymore. They're here to stay, but they're a lot of work. They're heavy girls. But anyway, this peach, the fabric, did you guys get this? I'll just say it again. The 5346 is the body, and then the sheer print is 5394. I love that. I love that combination. I love the scarf. And then I'll show you something, because I thought, you know what, I could take this off and I could do it over here. Oops, am I ruining cameraman? Sorry. You know, this is a light enough scarf. It really blends with something like that. It's probably too dressy. Maybe it's not. We'll go back to here. Isn't that, I mean, she just needed a scarf, so I thought this will be perfect. And you don't, even if you don't have a tie, just to, you know, do one loop over. It's really pretty. Okay. I notice when you sew, you don't use your automatic cutter on your machine. Why? Yeah, I don't. You know, because this is terrible. You know, I have never had a fancy sewing machine. I've never had a fancy sewing machine. So there's 2 reasons. Number one, I don't think I'll always have a fancy sewing machine. And somebody said to me one time, a really good golfer doesn't need really good clubs. A really good golfer can golf with anything. And you know, I've thought about that a lot. A really good sewer, to me, can kind of sew with anything. But let me tell you the other reason why. The other reason is, see, these opinions are so silly. I mean, you guys will really think I'm crazy. It takes a long time for that machine to cut it, and I lose patience. I think it's faster to do it myself. And I've done it myself my whole life. And so I just keep doing it. It's, you know, those bad habits that I have that are hard to change. And also sometimes when a cutter, when a sewing machine cuts it, it doesn't start out the next time. The thread gets all stuck. And it could be that I just don't have a really good sewing machine. But for those reasons, I just cut it myself and move on down the road. So, okay, will you repeat fabric numbers for your top and the black one again? Yes, my top is 5290 is the stripe, and 5404 is my, it's kind of like a little blue-gray. And I liked it because I really wanted to wear it with jeans, and I thought it was just the perfect kind of blue-gray color. And the other one was for, what was the other one they wanted? Sorry. Oh, this one right here. Okay, this one right here is, the black knit body is 5406, and the print is 5340. This print is beautiful. It's a rayon. It's 100% rayon. It's got great drape. It's a beautiful, beautiful fabric. Very pretty, very easy to sew with. And so is the black body. All of these fabrics were, I mean, that's the beauty of having really nice fabrics. They're just wonderful to sew with. The pattern you executed in the green and black jacket, yes. I wonder what the benefit of that design on the figure if you have a large bust. I appreciate you bringing that up because that's the whole reason I thought about all of this. And watch about that. I forgot to mention this. Look at this. Do you see the reason I forgot all this, you guys? See, sometimes when I do this so far in advance, I forget some of this stuff. Thank you for asking this. So if we go to this one, and if we go to this one, and I don't want y'all to be like, you know, crazy skinny holics, because I just think sometimes it's more flattering. But I want you to look at this one versus this one. And because I took this side front right here, and I did this side front to match the sleeve, this one looks thinner than what this one does. You know, if we take this away and, you know, maybe we should take everything away. And it's black, so that's also, you know, not comparing apples to apples is when you compare black to a peach. That's not really fair either. But the point being is if you could easily do this, matching the sleeve, and it doesn't impair movement, and it doesn't impair the style. So that was the goal in showing you, is that I did this one and matched this, but at this time I matched the sleeve here, and you can see how much thinner this looks. That's why when we went over to this, there was two reasons I did this in the black. Number one was to skinify you. That just means make us look thinner. And the other reason is with the corduroy, I thought about, okay, which direction is the line going to go? Now, I could have done a real play with this. Now, because when you look at this, this is going horizontal, and this is going vertical. So I easily could have matched this and made it all vertical, no big deal. Or I could have really cross-hatched it. Or I could have done it on a bias. I started thinking about this, and then I thought, you know what would make a person look thinner is if it was dark. And if it was a completely different color, so it made a void there. And that's when I decided to accent the whole thing with a black. And I could wear it with my black pants, yada, yada, yada. So it definitely makes your bust look thinner. I can't believe I forgot all of that. I'm really sorry, and I really appreciate you bringing it up. But it's definitely very slimming. What size did you cut the square for the scarf? You know, it was actually leftovers because I used a yard. I bought a yard. And so I know it's a yard long because, it's a yard long because it's the fabric, you know, the width of the fabric. If you buy a yard, after you cut one sleeve, this is what's left. So it's a yard long, and then what I had left is 32. So that means whatever the width left was where I cut the sleeve out of. Okay, and because before I did this though, I mean, even before I cut it, I had wanted a scarf on this because I just thought it'd be really pretty to have that sleeve and that scarf together. And I thought I might have to do another yard, but just because I only used the sleeve, I could use the rest of it for scarf. And it wouldn't even matter even if the scarf wasn't as wide. It would still be long. It was a yard long, and that's plenty long enough to go around your neck and tie. So even if it was thinner, it wouldn't have made a difference. Do you have any tips for storing pattern muslins after use? Well, yeah. here, this little thing right here. I don't know if I can get it. Do you mind handing me that right there? Sorry. Can he get that without? Yeah, you won't. Sorry. Yeah, I brought this just because this is how I store them. We have these hooks, you guys. I don't know where this is on the website on the new site because I don't know where we put it. It would be under Notions, I know that. But I think it would be under Tools. I'm not sure, sorry. But you know, you can even if they're the patterns, all my patterns like this, and then I store them in numeric order. But even if they're muslins, you can fold the muslin up like in a little baggie, and you can hook the baggie on here. Put a little hole in the top of the baggie under the Ziploc, and you can just hang the bag right with it. So they're all hung right there. And so a lot of times I'll take the pattern envelope and I'll just tape it on, or else in this portion right here, I'll put a hole and put that through. So when I'm upstairs, well, in my house I'm upstairs, sorry. When I'm upstairs looking for a pattern, they're in numeric order for me, but they're also, I'm looking for the pictures because I have the pictures on them. So that is so easy. I don't have a pattern drawer at all, except for patterns that I used like when I was in college, in high school, and grade school that are like sentimental, they're in a box. But the ones I'm literally using are all like this, and they're all hanging in a closet. And my son will never come back home because he won't have a closet, because the closet's now mine. All right, hope that helps. I mean, that's what I do. Could you tell us about the pearl scrunchie you use for your scarf? Yeah, so this little pearl scrunchie, I don't know what webcast it was, but so we have these little pearl buttons, and they're just pearl buttons. I mean, I don't know if we have them still. I don't know how many we have, but you can find them on our site or others. And what I did is I took a piece of elastic, and you know, we sell that 2-inch wide, and all I did was cut it down. That 2-inch wide elastic has these little grooves in it. And I just took one of those grooves, because if you stay between the grooves, it stays really clean. And then I just threaded it through the little holes of the buttons. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's a dozen. There's a dozen pearls on here. And it stretches so that when you go to put this on, I don't know where I saw it, to be honest, but I thought, you know what, we can just make one of those. And they're very cool. And so I used a dozen pearls, and that makes a nice little circle, but it stretches. I mean, I guess you could use it for a ponytail holder too if you wanted to, but anyway, that's all it is. It's just those little pearl buttons and then a little bit of elastic. Okay, what else? We're good? You guys got all your questions answered? We're starting, not tomorrow, but Friday. I'm launching a new online class that I'm so excited about. I've really worked hard to come up with all these great things that we're going to do. We're going to talk about fabric and pattern combination. And I think for many of you, all these years you've said fit's a problem, but now fit isn't a problem anymore. We've solved fit, and you guys have done wonderful when it comes to fit. I'm just so proud of all of us. But we're having real issues with fabric and pattern combination and fabrics and understanding them. And so it's really a deep dive into fabrics, understanding them. And I've created some rules, kind of like LCD. Believe it or not, I actually came up with that. Sometimes I can't believe I did that, but LCD is length, circumference, depth. So there's some good rules that I've come up with that will really help you decide fabric and pattern and how it goes together. But that we're going to launch that on Friday, and it will start mid-August is what it will start. It's an online only class. And then what we've got coming up this Saturday, if you're in the Dallas area, Dry Fly, everybody's in the Dallas area, right? We're having our party, our little 1-year anniversary party. It's actually not quite a year, but we did want to do it before Memorial Day. We'll actually close the store Memorial Day weekend. So this Saturday we have the party, and then the following Saturday we won't have the store open. But the next day we have a fitting class. That Sunday we have a little fitting class. So we're just excited. There's lots going on. We really appreciate y'all being here and watching and letting me play, and it's just a lot of fun. Okay, do you still do the Thursday pattern hacking videos? Yes. Yes, I think it was called Let's Sew. It's still called Let's Sew. Last Thursday they're not always pattern hacks, but There's always a Thursday night video, yes. Last Thursday we used 2 patterns. It was so cool. It was $5.75, and so anyway, it did really well. The week before we did a wrap top. That did really well. So you guys are liking what we do, and that's good. I like what we do, but that's, you know, it's hard for me to know if it's any good or not until you all like it too, and then and then I feel better. Okay. Anyway, thanks for being here. We've got all the questions, and we're good. We appreciate you all being here, and we will see you, I guess Thursday, but we'll see you in 2 weeks live. All right? Bye for now. Thanks for coming. Bye.